you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. Owners' profits were always sky high. Changing market now threatens our lives. Post-literation, critical reading, dumbed down nation, signs have been breeding, TV sucked in ideas.
Hey everybody, welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indie video podcast. Now, I just did an intro there using Bad Slugs Ride the Dinosaur. I have no idea if anybody heard that though, because I don't really know what I'm doing. So, all right, I can hear you, Valerie Knight-DiGangi, so welcome to the program.
Thank you, Eugene. Glad to be here with you today.
So this is, I think, my 14th or 15th podcast since COVID arrived in Connecticut. We're recording this at 2 p.m. on April 13th, if for anybody there who is keeping score. And Valerie is from the Valley Community Foundation. And we're going to be talking for the next 15 minutes or so about a new fund that has been set up to help organizations, groups, businesses, and ultimately people who are being impacted by the COVID-19 virus. And there is so many ways that this is going to impact all of us here in the Valley. So I'll turn it over to you, Valerie. Tell us about this fund and whatever you want to stress about it.
Sure, Eugene. Thanks so much. We have been very fortunate. We, the Valley Community Foundation, we have been fortunate to partner with the Valley Council for Health and Human Services, the Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce, and the Valley United Way to create the Valley Community COVID-19 Response and Recovery Fund. As you aptly put, it is really all about getting dollars in the door so that we can get them back out to the folks that really need them in the community. Right now, there is over $150,000 in the fund. And we, VCF, we're proud to put in the first $20,000 that actually came into the fund. The board of directors made the decision right at the very beginning of the pandemic that they were committed to putting this money there to help it, to help give it a foundation, as it were, and to really help it to get off its feet and go forward and help others. So just really a great thing, and we're very pleased to be able to be working on this process right now.
And so you said there's $150,000 in the fund right now. People
Correct.
Continue to contribute to it, but there's an important deadline coming up because now applicants can fill out a form and apply for grant money. So how does that happen?
So, Eugene, there's a really simple application form that we have put up on both our website and the Valley Council for Health and Human Services website. Very few questions that are there. As you can see, Eugene is now having us go to, this is in the section that says Impact the Valley. And basically it is, so impacting the Valley, if you slide over here, and you can get to the point where it says to apply now for that fund. And Eugene is just doing all of the great, he's kind of driving all of this while I talk, which is awesome. That is a team effort here. We are really trying to get the funding out to, as I said, people who are working directly with those that are on the front line, as you can see, responding to the pandemic. They need to be working in Ansonia, Derby, Oxford, Seymour, and/or Shelton, be a 501c3, and currently working with individuals with the diagnosis or with testing facilities that are testing this work. And they're currently providing essential services which require staff to work in direct proximity with the vulnerable populations here in the Valley and putting their own health at risk. I can tell you that, Eugene, when this went live last week, we had 4 applications right in the door within the first couple of hours.
That's great. That's great.
Like amazing, right? And so, and you and I have talked many times before about, you know, grant applications and how some of them are much lengthier than others. This one was really geared to make it as easy and as quick as possible for people to come in the door with their requests. So kudos, by the way, to the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven and the the Greater United Way, to be able to get the application over to us. And I've been working with Becca Toms from the Valley United Way to make it streamlined. So all good. It's been really good.
And we're all working from home right now.
I'm sorry, that was my husband needed the Swiss cheese. It is what it is, right? So, I'm sorry, but you know, everybody gets it. I know.
My wife is upstairs in the kitchen right now, and you know, I mean, I combed my hair right now and put up I'm wearing sweatpants under this.
I got slippers on. We're good.
When I come up the stairs, I have to peek out into the kitchen because she's just doing Zoom meetings all day for work. Right. So I totally identify there, as does everybody in the country right now.
Absolutely.
So you had talked about the length of the application, because that's always, as someone who has filled out these applications, grants in the past. And if it can be very difficult, is there any type of paperwork or anything that an applicant should have in advance with them sitting before they log on and start to do the application?
I think, Eugene, just, you know, really, and many of the orgs already have this information up. I would say that probably just your demographic information, like who do you actually serve and how many people do you serve? The rest of it is just really basic. What are you going to do with the money? How much money do you need? And what are you going to do with it? The rest of it is just really pretty self-explanatory, right? Of, you know, how long do you anticipate using it? And you know, we've also at the very end of this added the, what else would you like us to know about your request? Because I think it's important, if somebody has something very specific to their individual organization, that they just simply, you know, put it there, right? If you don't know where to put it, this is the best place to put that. Right.
And that's very good, because sometimes there's so many different nonprofits out there, and you might not have a chance to tell your story as it is, but when you have something like that right at the end, you can really tailor it to what you're doing, excuse me, or how you plan to use the funds. When is the deadline again, Valerie?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me that. It's this Wednesday and it's at noon. And I just want to tell everybody, and Eugene has heard me say this many times before, that one of the mantras that we have at the Community Foundation is no is not no forever. And I would like to just reiterate that for everybody right now, that no may be no for this round of funding, depending on, because we have a limited amount, right? I mean, right now, you know, we have $150,000, which sounds like a lot of money. But when you have people coming in and wanting anywhere between 1 and 5K, if you do the math, you can see how fast that can add up and go, right? So, and the committee, which again is represented by the Chamber and the United Way and the Community Foundation, basically, you know, is saying, okay, well, here's what we're going to do during this phase, that we really want to focus on those on the front line. We also want to look towards phases 2 and 3 of what other grants we can continue to get out the door. And we hope to be doing that in the coming weeks.
And some of those future grants could include businesses, because the Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce is playing a part in this as well.
So we've been in touch. Obviously, Bill Purcell has been fabulous about, weighing in on this. And we're trying to find out what the needs are right now. As you can imagine, Eugene, everything from unemployment to, what do I do about insurance for my staff, to all kinds of different things. So we're going to be looking to Bill to give us some guidance about what kinds of money might be needed out in the for-profit community and how we might be able to respond to that.
And then maybe to backtrack for a second in terms, we talked about now applying for this grant and how this first round would be used to sort of the groups or organizations that are on the front line. Then if people want to donate, it's also equally easy to do so. So walk us through how you make a donation to this fund.
So
and everybody in the Valley should do this.
Yeah. Thank you very much for saying that. We firmly believe that as well. Each one of the 4 sites that I talked about, the Valley Council, the Chamber, the United Way, and us, we all have a donate button sign on it. And on our website, on the main page. So, you just click on that link and you can get in and donate to it. And it says, you can see, there it is, give now, right? And we firmly support that, and we strongly encourage, as Eugene has said, to do that. We are hopeful that as time is going on, we know that everybody is probably hearing the same kind of pleas and pitches from similar organizations that you may be involved with or have supported in the past. But we can honestly tell you that the dollars, as I said, are just coming in the door, and we just want to get them right back out the door. This is just a very, very special time for all of us to be working in this kind of environment. And the more that we get in, the more that we can give out.
And you might have already mentioned this. I apologize, but I'm not very intelligent, especially when I'm listening to you and trying to work the computer. This is about the extent of my capabilities. But if somebody applies, the deadline is coming up, how fast will that group receive a response? And then if they have questions if they have questions while they're filling out the form, who can they contact?
So as far as the quick turnaround time, we are hopeful that we will be able to make a decision on the grants that have come in the door and make that announcement by Friday. We're working very hard to make that happen. And then we are working with our colleagues in New Haven to actually make it a very quick turnaround time out the door for this funding. So if everything kind of aligns, we're hopeful within the next week, people will actually have funding in hand, which would be terrific. So we're working hard to make that happen, Eugene.
Now, is there anything else you wanted to, I have 1 or 2 other questions, but before I ask, is there anything else you wanted to add about this fund?
Sure. I was tasked by the committee to speak with the nonprofits in the Valley, and I did that for pretty much the very first 2 weeks of the pandemic. And I will tell you that the one current theme that I heard from all of them is that we are truly in this together, right? And we are at a point where we can truly make a difference in this work. And one of the things that I can honestly say is that the nonprofits have told me even small amounts of money, like the amounts that we're giving out, anywhere between $1 and $5K, doesn't sound like an awful lot, but right now, oh my gosh, Eugene, that is just as much as if we were giving them, millions of dollars. So, every little bit helps, and every little bit helps them, and every little bit that we get in the door helps us to get it out to them. And
then you said you've been talking to nonprofits for the last few weeks. In general, how are they doing? Like, where are there any immediate, obvious areas of need? I mean, one thing that we're hearing about all across the country, region, state, is personal protective equipment. I never knew what PPE stood for. Right, I never knew, and now
Oh no!
Now we all knew, and so we're all becoming mini emergency responders. But
right,
what are some of the, if you can talk about it, what are some of the needs you're hearing out there?
Food continues to be a really big one, Eugene. Even to donate to the food banks, to donate, food to them is a key issue. Support for childcare has become a significant issue as well. My son is older now, and I don't have to worry about, getting him to preschool or whatever. He can take care of himself. He's 17. But for those folks that are emergency responders and essential personnel that, have kids at home that normally would be going to preschool or to their regular school, this has become a challenge for them. So, those are the kinds of things that nobody really, I think, kind of took into consideration at the very beginning. But I know for a fact that team and others, Julia Day in the Valley, other folks are trying to address that need and staying open as long as they can to be able to provide that kind of support, so that the folks that are providing those essential services that's one less thing that they have to worry about.
And we're hearing on the national level and in the state, unemployment claims beyond anything we've ever experienced as a community, state, or nation. Are you hearing anything locally? I mean, I'm sort of literally in this basement all day, and I feel a little disconnected other than these podcasts and talking to people. But are we starting to feel the economic impact in terms of job loss yet in the Valley?
Absolutely. And as I said, again, Bill has been doing a fabulous job of getting many consultants to come in, provide webinars, to provide all kinds of, online assistance to folks to be able to deal with those kinds of questions, because a lot of the funding that has come in from the federal government is very hard to navigate, especially for folks, that are new to looking through those kinds of applications and what does that mean. And, we've heard so many different people that they're spending hours on the phone trying to get through to connect to a person that they need to be able to talk to about their benefits. So yes, and I think that the more that we can do that, the more that we can get that assistance out, the faster, again, those dollars will be able to flow back to the business sector. And one other piece that I want to expand on is that we too are doing that for the nonprofit sector, because, a lot of them are eligible for some of the money out of the stimulus package, and they need to make sure that they can navigate it and access it as soon as they possibly can. So, a lot of times there's this major difference between small business and nonprofit. At this point, Eugene, it's really pretty even, right? And we, VCF, we in partnership with our colleagues at the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven, are doing all that we can to provide, again, similar kinds of assistance, capacity building assistance, technical assistance online for people to get more information about how to deal with this.
And then coming up is, usually it still is. I'm talking about the Great Give. I was going to say it's this annual happy event, but this year it's obviously going to be happening during a different time.
Right.
Uncharted waters. I think I've heard that phrase 100 million times out there. How is the Great Give going to do its thing? You've got this fund going out right now, but then people will have another chance to give during the Great Give.
That's right.
So people can do both essentially.
Yes, absolutely. And the way that the Great Give has been structured this year, Eugene, is instead of, there's always been that kind of friendly competition. Hey, here's the prize, and if you do this, blah, blah, blah. Now it is all that everybody's on the same playing field, and that the prizes will still be there. They just won't be competitive by, numbers of stuff, right? All of that kind of thing, right? So, that's kind of the first thing, because again, we're all in this together. So, during the Great Give, we strongly encourage people to support nonprofits that they care about, that they have connections to, people that, they may not necessarily have thought about in the past, but boy, oh boy, there is probably, a whole bunch of folks that are not just necessarily meeting basic needs or providing those kinds of, but think about on the other side of this, what about, the arts community, or what about, cultural groups that may not necessarily be providing something now, but you could support them so that on the other side, they're open and that they are encouraging people to come back and to participate in their processes as well.
Have you heard anything, this might be pure speculation, but in terms of, usually during the Great Give, these are individuals who give to a nonprofit of their choice. Now we have unemployment claims. People are going to be a lot shorter on money. Is there any estimate as to what kind of impact this will have on something like the Great Give?
Yeah, not yet, Eugene, and we're just really reiterating to people that even small amounts, you don't have to give a whole, a large sums of money to have an impact, right? And so we don't know what the impact is going to be yet, but we do know that there has already been a tremendous amount of generosity out there from a whole bunch of people from all different walks of life, all different economic situations that are just wanting to do something to help. And that is a way that they can do it.
Okay, Valerie Knight-DiGangi of the Valley Community Foundation, I want to thank you very much for agreeing to do a Zoom meeting out of the blue. And thank you for all you do for the Valley. This is definitely frontline stuff. And before I let you go, I'll just ask one last time, because I tend to blab. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Just want to say thank you and the Valley Indy for providing this platform, Eugene, to be able to get this information out there to people, because right now you are truly a lifeline for folks that are in need of hearing what's going on. And this has been a great opportunity to do this. We really appreciate it.
All right, Valerie, take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Be well.
All right, so that was Valerie Knight-DiGangi of the Valley Community Foundation. And for me, navel gazing, this is Eugene saying goodbye.